And thanks for watching NTD News. We're here at CPAC outside Washington, D.C. We're delighted by joined by Mr. George Simion. Now, you may have heard that in Romania recently was a very controversial presidential election, which the Constitutional Court in Romania has now cancelled. Now, Mr. Simion ran in that election, came in 4th place, and has quite strong views about the cancellation. Mr. Simion, it's great to have you here. Can you please explain to us here in the West what exactly has happened? Mr. J.D. Vance has criticized this. Mr. Elon Musk here has also criticized the cancelling of the election. What's happening?
Justly. You cannot pretend you are a civilized country, because we also are part of the West, of the free world. And cancel an elections made of members of Constitutional Court that are actually politicians, not judges. They didn't bring any evidence of why they canceled the elections, and we are supposed to have in May repeated presidential elections. We are the second largest party in Romania. We are for democracy, for freedom of speech, and for free elections, which is normal in a European Union country. But this doesn't happen, unfortunately. And the case in Romania is just a polygon test for other European countries. I'm looking towards my Polish friends. They have in May also presidential elections. This Sunday we'll have elections in Germany. So we are pretty worried for our democracy, for the rule of law that we heard so much about from Brussels. J.D. Vance, the American vice president, justly criticized what happened in Romania and blame it on the European Commission and the deep state in Romania, who didn't like the winner of those elections. Second round of elections just started on the 6th of December, and the Constitutional Court convened and decided it's not going to be held, the second round. So it's incredible. We are here, part of the conservative movement, part of the free world, to ask for support and to tell the world that we want to spread this wave of MAGA movement that won in the States, in all Europe, to defend the principles of rule of law and democracy.
On the rule of law and democracy, we're here in the West. We often hear conservative leaders talk about the dangers of communism, the threat of communism. We only learned about communism through books. You're in Romania.
We lived communism.
Can you please explain to us in the West, what does the danger of communism mean to you?
We were occupied by the communist regime, by the Russians. We lived under terror. People still has Stockholm syndrome. We were victims, and we are afraid of totalitarianism. We believed that we escaped in 1989 the revolution, but we didn't, actually. The former Securitate, Secret Service, and those who ruled under Ceaușescu, those who threatened people, those who killed people, those who were taking political dissidents out of the streets, are still ruling, but now have an European face. What is there to blame is the ideology, the Marxist ideology behind the communist regime, and the neo-Marxists that are trying to impose egalitarianism all around the world, not being conscious that God made us different and God made us free. So we must remain free, we must keep our faith in God, and we must protect our Judeo-Christian legacy.
You mentioned Stockholm syndrome. Are you saying that the feeling and the fear of communism still lingers in people in Romania?
Yes.
How do they feel?
We were terrorized. Everybody who listened for the Voice of America or Radio Free Europe had a dossier at Securitate and was being followed. In each neighborhood you had informers of the Securitate. This is how things worked. I have a PhD degree in the history of communism, and I know it because I studied it. But my parents, my grandparents lived it, and you should talk quietly so that your neighbors didn't hear. So now, in 2025, they are stealing our elections, they are stealing our democracy, and they are imposing a new type of dictatorship that comes from Brussels.
What did your grandparents tell you about that time?
It was horrible when the Russians came. They raped the girls in Romania. They had watches at every hand. They imposed dictatorship, and they were brutal, they were violent. They deported people who worked and made an honest living and economies. They imposed for everybody to live in one-room apartments. This is not fair because we are different. This is not fair because we cannot be all equal from the wealth point of view. We each have a God-given talent that we must cherish.
You mentioned the dictator, Ceaușescu. How does somebody like this manage to get into power? How did it happen?
Through the Soviets, through an external rule. This is why we are scared that the current Ukrainian-Russian peace talks and the peace that will be imposed by Mr. Trump will leave us under the Russian hands. This is why we are a peace-loving people in Romania, but we are looking worried to the future architecture of security in Europe and in the world.
How did the people in Romania feel now, like you mentioned, having come through communism and made it to today? How do they feel politically? Why has your party become so popular so quickly?
Because we are telling the truth. We told the truth about the Chinese virus. We told the truth about the energy crisis. People now realize that we have been lied to in the last 45 years. We were lied that we lived in a democracy, but actually it was a human face dictatorship.
And then finally, we see the peace talks in Saudi Arabia between the United States and Russia over the Ukraine war. Not only are they looking for peace, but they're also talking about strengthening U.S. and Russian relations. Now, some analysts that we speak to say the reason for this is that the United States, some of the hardliners in the Trump administration, want to isolate the Chinese Communist Party because they say that the Chinese Communist Party is actually the greatest danger to freedom and democracy in the world. What do you make of this analysis?
We understand the interests of our strategic allies. We understand the threat, totalitarianism in any form, either it's the Communist Party in China or Putin's dictatorship represent. But we strongly trust and have faith that President Trump acknowledges that people left free by God must be protected. And we, the Romanians, the Polish people, the Hungarians, did our job in defending democracy. We were on the first line of defending democracy.
As somebody who may be someday the leader of Romania, do you feel that the Chinese Communist Party is a threat?
We feel the Communist Party in China should renounce the Marxist theories, should renounce imposing political threat to its opponents, and to have free voices. We stand up for free speech, and hopefully we will have this because we are monitoring what is in the human rights committees in the Romanian Parliament and at European level, what is happening with Uyghurs, what is happening in Hong Kong, what is happening in Tibet. And this all represents motives of concern for us because we want democracies to be preserved and that free people and this crown God created of diverse people to be cherished.
Finally, a few times in this conversation you've mentioned God. Can you explain the role that faith has played for you as a person and also in your politics?
You cannot be somebody relevant if you don't believe in God, if you don't understand that we are small and weak without God's help, if you don't understand that we are nothing but hazards if God wouldn't have created us, and if you don't keep your faith in God. I learned this through my own example, and I want to thank to all Christians around the world that they are peacefully promoting their religion. It's important to peacefully pray to our God and not to threaten others that believe in different other ways. This is the culture of democracy and dialogue.
Why was Marxism not able to crush Romanians' faith in God?
They killed many of our saints in communist prisons, but they believed and they loved God even more because we are nothing but matter. We are more evoluted by our souls, by our spirits, and by our God, and they became saints. It's nothing more valuable in today's world than to be humble and to pray to God and to understand that He is the Creator.
Mr. Simion, thank you so much.
Thank you.